MOTROLIX.
So now I am in the 2024 Chevy Silverado EV RST first edition, and behind me in tow I have a 6,500 pound rig, which includes an electric boat. So this is an electric truck towing an electric boat, and the total weight of everything here on the trailer, including the trailer, is 6,500 pounds. I gotta say, when I first drove the Silverado EV work truck, not this RST, but the work truck, this was last year, about a year ago now, it towed the trailer magnificently. I believe I had a John Deere tractor in tow, and so if that's any indicator, then this should be more of the same, but perhaps even better. All right, so here we go. Yeah, it feels very good. I'm not getting much interplay as far as, you know, that back and forth interplay between truck and trailer. Accelerating. Acceleration feels good. Solid, stable, smooth. Very nice. I have to say, this feels, with a 6,500 pound trailer in tow, this feels very good. Going 50 miles an hour now, and yep, it feels magnificent. Road noise, wind noise, any other kind of noise imperceptible. I'm going now 60 miles an hour. I could literally just put one hand on the wheel, the other hand here, relaxed, gesticulating as I am, and man, does this feel really good. The EV powertrain simply does wonders for towing. It is just wow. I really can't say enough good things about it. Towing with an EV, I mean, yeah, there's those who don't like EVs, and for those, an EV is not for you. If you don't like it, maybe it's not for you. But I have to say, and I'm not an EV person by any stretch. I mean, my daily driver is a Corvette C7 with a manual transmission. I like things that make sounds and pretty engine notes and exhaust notes. But as far as overall performance is concerned, especially when it comes to towing, one of those things, it feels great. It simply feels great. And it performs great as well. There's no vibration here coming off the engine, off of the power plant, off of the powertrain as a whole. No vibration, no noise, no revving of the engine. None of that is happening here. And it's that kind of, I don't want to call it nonsense, but it's those kinds of things that you might not really want when you're towing. I mean, towing in and of itself, for many, I find that towing for many is already a stressful enough activity as it is. But towing and then having to listen to the engine roar and downshift, and then use the engine brake to slow things down, to me, it just kind of makes an already stressful experience that much more stressful. Well, if you're towing with an EV, that's a whole different story. The narrative, the experience changes completely. Changes so much so that here I am going 60 miles an hour with a 6,500 pound trailer in tow, and I don't feel a thing. And I can feel that there's crosswinds. I can see that there's crosswinds. The trees are moving quite a bit. But here I am, just calm, collected, poised. That's the best way to describe towing in this Silverado EV. It's like having the least amount of fuss with the most capability. And again, this is coming from me who, I mean, I love internal combustion engine vehicles. Again, my daily driver is a Corvette C7 Grand Sport with a manual transmission. That's me. That's been me my whole life. But if I were buying a vehicle, a truck, to tow today, I would seriously consider one of these. Now, granted, $100,000, 95 and change for this RST Edition 1, that is not chump change by any stretch. You could get two Silverado 1500s, you know, maybe, you know, medium spec, LT, RST. You can get that for two of those, for one of these. So it's not chump change by any stretch. But at the same time, man, does this feel good. We're gonna use the Regen On Demand paddle here. And just like that, it slows the truck down and it recharges the battery at the same time. So you're not, you know, using the engine to brake the truck anymore. You kind of are, I guess, if you're using the Regen On Demand paddle. You kind of are still using the engine, so to speak, right? But at the same time, you're now regenerating. You're now recapturing energy. Oh, there's a birdie with a broken wing. Poor thing. Oh. As I was saying, you're now not wasting fuel by using the engine brake to slow the vehicle down, to slow the trailer down. Now you're using the engine to not only slow everything down, you know, the vehicle and the trailer, but you're now also using that to recapture energy. And if all that wasn't enough, then there is this little feature that you may have already heard of called Super Cruise. And it's Super Cruise not just for the sake of Super Cruise, it's Super Cruise with trailering capability. And that just takes all the towing related stress out of the equation almost completely. So here I am, 50 miles an hour. I'm gonna turn on Super Cruise. And that's it. I am now towing at 50 miles an hour, hands-free. This is almost too easy. I actually want it harder. I want to make my life harder by not having these convenience features. But here I am, dead center, in the lane, perfectly in the lane, going 50 miles an hour. I can ratchet it up to 55 if I want to. All right, so here's 55 coming in. Okay, here it goes, 55 miles an hour. I have the green indicator bar at the top of the steering wheel indicating that Super Cruise is active and working. And I can just be sitting here doing, well, I guess the only thing I'd be doing is paying attention and maybe talking to whoever else is in the truck with me. It does not get any better than this. Towing, hands-free. Like those three words right there have never crossed my mind until GM actually launched this. Hands-free towing. This is the life of the future, ladies and gents. This is definitely the life of the future. Now you can see from this camera, I think from this angle, that the steering wheel is adjusting a bit left and right, left and right. There is a lot of crosswinds here. We are going pretty fast, 60 miles an hour through some, you know, through some roads that have quite a bit of crosswinds. The truck is adjusting just fine. Super Cruise is doing its thing. Everything is working perfectly. That's the best part, is this is not a straight highway road. There's a turn coming up. Well, here we go. Super Cruise is just doing its thing. It's just doing its thing. No sweat. No sweat from me. No sweat from the truck on the powertrain. No sweat from really any other kind of anything else. Now here is where something happened here. Super Cruise is unavailable. There's no road information here, so it's asking me to take over. Well, all right, now I'm gonna have to drive. Oh well, not a bad deal. The one thing I have to say though is this sunroof, as cool as it looks, as nice as it is, to finally have an oversized sunroof on a Silverado, something that's never been done before. As nice as that is, I must say that this thing needs a shade, a manual or a power shade that just covers the whole thing up. It's now, what's the temperature outside? Ambient temperature, 72 degrees, but it is sunny. It is sunny, even though it's 72 degrees out. And I can already tell that if I were to drive this home back to South Florida, where the sun does not stop, it is relentless, I would need something to cover this thing up. This is way too much glass. It's gonna let way too much stuff in, way too much heat into the cabin without a cover, without a shade of some kind. So that's the one demerit of the Silverado EV RST as a whole. I do know that the glass does have a coating, an anti-heat coating that it does have, but man, I really can see now that it really needs a shade of some kind. So there is that. Keep that in mind in case you are truly interested in one of these trucks. Now, one of the more popular questions that we receive at gmauthority.com related to the Silverado EV is, drumroll please, towing. Specifically, towing and range. So the question is, how much range do you lose when you tow? And I've grilled engineers about this question for, I don't know, the past 12 hours. And essentially the answer is something like this. The loss in range associated with towing a trailer in an electric vehicle, in an electric truck, like the Silverado EV, is roughly identical to that of a truck with an internal combustion engine. So essentially it works like this. If you have a trailer, and a lot of these things depend on the trailer. What kind of a trailer are you towing? What's the weight? Is the aero of the trailer good? Is it not optimal? At what speed are you driving? All of those conditions ultimately factor into how much range loss you're going to experience, whether it's on an internal combustion engine truck or an EV. And so the EV is roughly the same. You're going to lose the same amount of range on an EV as you would on a truck with an internal combustion engine. So let's say that, with a specific trailer going on a specific road, driving at a specific speed, all of those conditions there, you lose 35% in a Silverado 1500. Well, then it's going to be roughly the same on the Silverado EV. One of the bigger benefits of a Silverado EV RST is that it has four-wheel steering, and that it kind of tends to help in the towing department. Now, you obviously have to, be careful exactly how sharp of a turn you're going to make with a trailer in tow, but I just made 3, not 1, not 2, but 3 continuous turns here in kind of this intersection. It was a 3-point intersection, and the four-wheel steering aided how tightly I can make that turn. Now I'm driving on a dirt path with the trailer in tow. Truck feels great. The suspension's doing a great job at soaking up the bumps and all kinds of imperfections here on this dirt road. The trailer doesn't seem to be having much of a problem with it, which is great news. But the cool thing here, the best part of this, is that the engine's not huffing and puffing. I mean, the electric powertrain is obviously doing what it's supposed to be doing, but there is no, revving and, everything is screaming. The whole engine's screaming at you. And I know that that's kind of cool to have, and it's kind of cool to experience at first. At first, that's kind of cool for me. But after a while, it kind of starts to get old. And again, this is my personal opinion. Of course, you might not agree, but to me, all the powertrain stuff, even if you're using a big boy diesel like the 6.6 Duramax or a 6.7 Power Stroke on the Ford side, or any of the Cummins engines, it's cool to have all the turbo whistle in the world and have it flex its muscle, but there's no bigger flex than this right here, where the truck is not breaking a sweat at all. and yet it's towing a 6,500 pound trailer, for crying out loud. That is very impressive. Other redeeming qualities of the Silverado EV as a whole, not just while trailering, not just while towing, but of the truck as a whole. Well, first and foremost, it is quiet. Second, it's composed. Third, it's refined. This thing drives like a luxury vehicle. It doesn't drive like your run-of-the-mill, Silverado 1500. It doesn't drive like a Colorado. It drives like its own thing. Kind of a interesting mix between a car and a truck. It's right there in between, because it doesn't have the typical truck qualities of body roll and pitch and yaw in the body, as opposed to the frame, and the whole thing is it's like a couch on wheels of sorts. This vehicle doesn't have that at all. This vehicle, it really is very unique because of the fact that it is technically unibody first, but second, because the battery pack, the heaviest component of the truck, it is placed within the floor. And so as a result of that, you have a very low center of gravity, enabling it to kind of handle very, very well. So when you unhook the trailer and you're just running the truck without anything in tow, man, does it feel good. It just feels good by itself. And then you hook up the trailer and it feels great towing as well. So I guess what I'm getting at is that the Silverado EV is kind of like a jack of all trades, right? Yes, this particular first edition model is pricey. It's $100,000. But we can expect lower priced models to arrive in the next few months. In fact, by the end of the 2024 calendar year. GM has promised to launch a Silverado EV LT and a Silverado EV RST that is not a first edition model, meaning that it's not considered special and doesn't have all the bells and whistles that this one does. All of that should result in a lower price point, meaning not $100,000. Probably still it will be pricey. Probably still it will be in the realm of $60,000, $70,000. But that is the cost of entry into an electric vehicle today. In 5 years, in 10 years, that may very well change, and it probably will change for the better, right? For a lower price point. There is also going to be, next year in 2025, there will be a Silverado EV Trail Boss that Chevy will launch, and I am really looking forward to that vehicle, because the Trail Boss has been a hit for Chevy. It has been a hit for truck fans, the world over, and well, a Silverado EV Trail Boss, well, that should be a pretty interesting combination, because one of these with some off-road stuff, well, let's just say that will probably make for a very enticing package for those who actually are interested in going off-road. But as it stands, the Silverado EV is a winner when it comes to towing. I cannot think of a better vehicle to tow with than this truck right here. I have yet to tow with the Hummer, but the Hummer is kind of its own thing. It's kind of its own, right? It's its own thing. This, however, this thing can tow. This thing can tow really, really, really well. And the amount of confidence it gives the driver when towing, it's something to behold. So if you haven't, do drive one of these. I know that you might not be an EV person like me. I'm not really an EV person. I don't own a single EV. I might get one later this year. I don't know. But I'm not really an EV person. But do yourself a favor and just drive one of these. That way you can at least understand the benefits that come along with this kind of a setup, this kind of a truck, this kind of a powertrain. For GMAuthority.com and the MOTROLIX Network, I'm Alex Luft. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.
MOTROLIX.